Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Happy pre-birthday to Stephen of the Idiot Quilter. Tomorrow is his birthday. Tomorrow's also Bastille Day, so yeah, we can take that for what it is. It's a mostly gorgeous day here in the greater Atlanta area. It's a little muggy. My computer thinks that it's 86 degrees outside, which is a little warm, but yeah, what do you expect in the middle of July? I hope I'm getting a handful of people who are not over at Steven's pop-up soda. He is hosting a pre-birthday bash over on his private Zoom. So, if you are over here, thank you for joining me. And if you are interested, please go hop over onto his pop up soda um, after the live over here is over because he always is a lot of fun. There's a lot of wonderful people over there. You might be enabled to buy something. You might not. It just all really depends. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Uh, Good morning, Joydy, who says it's muggy there in North Carolina. Also, yeah, I don't understand how the East Coast is so muggy because you would have thought that all the air from the Pacific would have been able to be dried out by the time that it come to this side. I never really understood the physics of weather, except for the fact that, it's everywhere I've lived, it's been muggy. And I guess I've just kind of gotten accustomed to it. Bonita says it's hot and muggy in North Dakota as well. So anywhere in the north, North Carolina, North Dakota, is muggy. So I am working on week 3, which is really block 2 of As the Crow Flies. This week is a crow block. So as we get through, I can, I kind of tease that I have a really good crow joke, and I'll get to it in a few minutes, but I'm just getting started. I have all the fabric cut, which I'm going to say was an adventure because this morning, the moment that I woke, okay, well, let me rewind to last night. Last night, I gathered all my fabrics together because I knew that I was going to be working on this morning, and you need to have your fabrics together. And I was like, let me get it done last night, and so I didn't have to worry about it this morning. So I got it together, had it all in my pile over here. I checked everything off, went back into the living room, watched some TV, cuddled with Riley and Percy, went to bed, had interesting dream. It was a good dream. And then woke up this morning, and the very first thing out of my mouth, it was immediately when I opened up my eyes, I said, I cut that fabric wrong. There are pieces that are a certain size, and for some reason I cut them square instead of rectangular. So they were all cut. Uh, the small side was the right side, the long side was the wrong size. Luckily, I had enough of this fabric in scraps in order to recut everything. So I was able to cut or recut this morning the 24 pieces that I needed. Good thing they were small pieces, and good thing I had plenty of extra leftover of that fabric. I need to, be a little bit more careful when I cut these things. I got to read everything 7 times, I guess, instead of 4. But like I said, I recovered, and if it was larger pieces, I would have done like I did last time and just sewn a little bit of extra onto it. There's always ways to recover, and it's just It's life. So I am going to move over into my sewing cam setup so that we can get this started. I have a new little cutting mat here, so I'm going to see if I can do a little bit of trimming on camera because I know a lot of people like to see the action. I don't have any way to easily show the action of ironing. Ironing is boring anyway. Uh, but I can do trimming now, it looks like, or we will see. As part of the pattern, and the pattern is available from Fort Worth Fabric Studio. The link is in the description of the video. It's also exclamation pattern in the chat. And we are making a whole bunch of half square triangles. It looks like we are making 8 of these crows. And for the total, we're going to need 40 of this combination, which is the black and the stars, and then a total of 8 of the spider web and the black. And the way that we are doing this is the 4 at a time method. There's really 3 different methods of doing half square triangles. There's a 2 at a time, which is where you draw a line across the center and you sew on each side of the line and you slice down the center. There's 4 at a time where you sew along the 4 edges and then you cut both diagonals and you get 4 half square triangles, which is what we will be doing today. And then there's 8 at a time where you draw a line on both directions. You sew on each side of the line for each direction, and you cut, and it's easier to cut the center going up and down, the center going left and right, and then the diagonals. And the reason why you want to do the diagonals last if you're doing the 8 at a time method is because you've got the lines for your diagonals. You don't have any other lines to do anywhere else. So, like I said, we're doing 4 at a time, and I see some stuff is going on. Josie says, hello, Russ, and all the chat. And it looks like Josie and Joydy are great minds with favorite content creators. And Saturday is Joydy's favorite day. Good morning, Jen from Houston. Oh, you still have no power. I'm sorry. Hopefully you have a good way to keep your phone charged. I know a lot of people will go and charge their phone using their vehicle and that, but that still wastes gas. So hopefully, or you may have a generator or something. But you can't get enough light to be accurate. I'm sorry. Hurricanes are a horrible thing. And yeah, I've been through Hugo, and I don't want to wish anybody through. In fact, I think I had to drive through one of them the year my sister got married. Because I drove up to Massachusetts in order for her wedding, because I spent 3.5 weeks up there. And I brought my puppy dog that I had at the time, Bradley. And I believe the day that I was driving back was the day one of the hurricanes, it was probably downgraded to a tropical storm by then, was coming through. Because I remember going through a ton of rain. And that's not pleasant to drive in either. So back to the block. The 4 at a time method, you sew around all 4 edges. And that's what I'm going to do real quick. Because it's straight lines, and I'm going to just trim this piece off since it's over here. That's my leader ender. But since it's straight lines, you can just zoom through these. And what I'm gonna do, just because of where everything is, I can just haul off of that one and just start the next one. Joydy says that she lost power for 2 weeks with Hugo. I think we were without it for at least a month. I mean, that long ago, time seemed different. So it could have only been like 2 weeks, but it just seemed forever. I remember our power came, or not our power, our phone came on at least a week before the electricity did, because phone is a lower voltage. But I just remember it being a long time we were without anything. I was a little smart, and before the live started, I did the sewing of the rest of these. So we're not sitting here, sewing through a whole bunch of them. Oh, I'm sorry. It was Josie that lost power for 2 weeks with Hugo. I can't see distances with my glasses on, so probably should have taken them off to read there. But yeah, Hugo was a surprise. It was supposed to hit Columbia at like 8 in the morning, South Carolina, that is. And it apparently sped up and shifted and hit Sumter, where I was living, at about 2 a.m. So it was definitely a surprise. And the amusing thing was, in the middle of not having any power, Dad says, "I'm hungry. I'm going to cook myself an egg." And Mom goes, "You can't do that. The stove's plugged in." And he goes, "Watch me." And he hops into the kitchen and fries up an egg, because we had a gas stove and we had a pilot light on our gas stove, not a click, 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 click like you see in most of the gas stoves in today. So yeah, we were able to have food and eat while we were without power. And we had like 2 freezers full of stuff, so we ate like kings for a couple days because we had to get rid of everything out of the freezer. Joydy is asking if I can show a picture of the block again. Here is the block. It's a crow. And I'll put it here just to have it bigger. If it'll focus, I think it's focused. Yeah, it's focused. If it's blurry for me, it's focused for you. Because again, my glasses are for near, not for far. So let's see if I can get this working. You want to trim corner to corner. And because we are trimming these blocks even further, I really need to change my rotary blade. But this is also a new mat, and new mats feel weird. And this is not an angle I'm accustomed to cutting at, so there's a lot of reasons why it looks awkward for me right now. So we have 4 half-square triangles very quickly. The one thing that we need to be careful for is all of these cuts now are on the bias, so we have to be very careful as we handle these that we don't stretch them, because once you stretch them, you can't unstretch them. Joydy says the block looks cool. It is a lot of It's a lot of pieces, but it does look very fun. It kind of reminds me of a Elizabeth Hartman or Art East block with all the intricate pieces. I mean, there's not a whole ton of pieces in there, but it's more pieces in a specific order, so it's kind of difficult to chain piece at times. Chain piecing these squares is very easy, and I'm sure once I get one block done, chain piecing the rest is easy. But one thing that is really cool is if you are having to do something corner to corner twice, is having a rotating cutting mat. And I've said that any mat that is small enough is a rotating mat. And that's what I'm really liking about this mat, is I can rotate it. And this one did not trim all the way. It's a combination of I need to put a new blade in here, and I also need to get accustomed to this different angle. I've looked at the pattern, so I know that I need 5 of this type of half square triangle, so I'm going to cut another one that I previously sewed. So what is everybody working on, assuming you have power? I don't mean to giggle about the whole power thing. I've had, where I live here in Georgia, it's not uncommon to lose power in the summertime. And I'm sure it's mostly because of how overloaded the grid can be due to, all of the air conditionings. And I fully support people have their air conditioning on as much as they want. I joke that I am definitely a white person because if I'm sleeping and the power goes out in the middle of the night, I wake up because my fan turned off. Jackie said that when she lived in Florida, they only had lost power 2 times from hurricanes. In 65 and 68. And she found her mom's hurricane tracker the other day where they kept notes on all the hurricanes for 13 years. Wow. I'm only going to press the number of half square triangles I need for a single block. Because I'm anxious to get over onto Steven's pop-up sew day. So I need 5 of this one. I need one more. Janice says she's working on Elizabeth Hartman Legendary for her cousin who really believes in Bigfoot. I am now going to have to look up that pattern because one of my friends, her son is very much into Bigfoot. So I need 5 of the light star on black, and then I need 1 of the spider web on black. And I need to trim all of these down to whatever size this tells me, which is that number. I can't get the pattern because it's not a free pattern. But Fort Worth Fabric Studio, I don't know if they have any more kits left, but you can buy the pattern and source it with your own material. I'm just making sure I have the numbers facing correctly. Because on these smaller rulers, there is a lot of numbers that are close to each other in number. So you got to make sure that you're looking at the right set of numbers. There's one. Joydy says she loves that pattern and she's going to make it for her niece. I'm going to mute myself for half a second so I can tell my smart speaker. Okay, I should be back now.
All right, I'll remind you today at 12:22 p.m.
I just told my speaker in an hour to remind me to look up the pattern. Because heaven knows I will not remember. Is that pattern, is that one giant block or is it a bunch of smaller Bigfoot blocks or what? I'm kind of curious. Because I'm sure I'm going to end up sending it to the friend of mine and say, do you think Jack will like this? And she would say, oh my God, make it. Yeah, this is a handy cutting mat. I just got to get a better angle with it to show everybody. Because it's a little awkward to cut with my sewing machine right here in the way. I'll figure it out though. Joy thinks she has two Bigfoot patterns. I just know my friend has mentioned many times if I ever find basically Bigfoot fabric that she would want a quilt. For Christmas, I gave him a it was a 3D puzzle type thing, and you can make Bigfoot with it. And he loved that thing. And I guess other friends of her recently had a Bigfoot sighting on their trail cam. Yeah, that's probably I need a new blade. So they ended up going out on an adventure to investigate the trail cam footage with her son. And he really enjoyed that. The joke is to heck with Santa on Christmas. He'd rather have a Bigfoot sighting for Christmas. One more, and we can start piecing this crow together. Well, that's a little better. If I remember to rotate my rotatable mat, I don't have to go across this. Okay, there's all my pieces that I need for one block. This pattern is a Bigfoot sighting. Janice says 3 rows, trees, 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 then one Bigfoot in one of the rows surrounded by trees. Good morning, Shannon, who says salutations. That is very Charlotte of you. As in the one who made the web, not the city. That movie terrified me as a kid. Because I don't like spiders. Okay, so the next step in here is we need to make one of the units with two of the smaller pieces and one that has square triangles. But while I'm doing this, I want to piece together a couple other portions of it so I can get some chain piecing out of this. Let's see, this and that. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. There it is in small chunk. So I'm going to start with a pair of these, and I'm going to sew these two, and then I'm going to sew the other piece onto that. Just so I can get a little bit of chain piecing. And I got to make sure I don't move my fabric. So I have mentioned that I have a really bad crow joke. And I am, again, warning you, it is really bad. But I'm going to tell it anyway. So, up in Massachusetts, state that I have lived in for a number of years, on the Mass Turnpike, Interstate 90, there were a whole bunch of dead crows that were appearing. And the Mass Transit Authority, they were concerned that it could be, another strain of the avian flu or something else. So they started an investigation to figure out what was going on. They spent a couple $1 million trying to figure out what was going on. And after they had spent all that money, they discovered that thankfully it wasn't another strain of the avian flu. It was, in fact, that, crows are very smart creatures. and uh, it was discovered that the crows uh, were primarily hit by vehicles that were dead, or they were all hit by vehicles, and a majority of the vehicles were trucks. And they ended up spending, another couple $1 million to figure out why it was trucks that were hitting them and killing them, and that. And after they had it all figured out, they published their results, and it was because crows are smart. They have the ability to yell "ka," but they can't yell "truck." Yes, I'm sorry. I know it's bad, but it's one of my favorite crow jokes. Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Karen. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope you catch the crow joke if you wanted to hear it. That will be the only time you hear the joke. So if you want it again, you're going to have to watch this on replay. I will not repeat the joke in my weekly vlog. I will not repeat it again because I understand it is bad, but it's also hysterical. Okay, Amy and Joydy appear to have enjoyed the joke. Okay, I'm looking just to make sure that my block looks the same. So I'm going to piece this portion of it together. There are no seams in this section to line up, so that makes this better. Amy says she jumped in at the perfect time. Lucky her. And I will have you guys know I never claimed any of my jokes were funny. Joydy says it's quite funny if you get it. That's why the joke has to take place in the Boston area. Okay, we have the first portion of a crow. I'm pressing this to the center because that's where it mostly wants to go. There's no pressing instructions with the pattern, but that's the way it kind of wants to go. And I have to be careful with these triangles because, like I said, they're on the bias. The next piece takes this triangle and a triangle going that way, and it's flanked by these squares. And I need another triangle to go this way and another square to go this way. So the first portion is a smaller piece, so it goes about like this. because that's going to have that on top of it so that it'll even itself out. So the way I'm going to put these together is going to be in columns, because that seems like the easy way to do. I'm going to press away from the half square triangles, so I'm going to start with the top row. Amy or Joydy says she got hooked on watching comedy reels during the night. Binge watched three guys sitting in the woods telling dad jokes, among others. Yeah, I love dad jokes. And you know when a joke becomes a dad joke, right? When it becomes apparent. Okay, I had to make sure I put this back in the correct location. There is an Australian channel called Yeah Mad that does dad joke contests. It's basically you try not to laugh. The closest thing that I can come to a complaint is some of their jokes get really vulgar. And I say it's closest thing I can come to a complaint because I find them still hilarious. No matter how vulgar they end up being. But I know that some people are like, that's too much for me. And I accept that it's okay for some people to say that's too much. But if you're not offended easily, I would recommend them as a channel. Okay, almost done with the block. Since I pressed these away from the half square triangles, the seams are going to nest nicely. Hi, Jeannie. Jeannie, I'll have to let you know you missed the bad crow joke, so you're going to have to rewind or watch the replay in order to get the joke. Maybe I'll link it in my weekly vlog to the exact location of the joke in the live. But I'm not telling it again. Okay, and then as I said, this is going to go on this. So let's piece this. As I said, this almost feels like a Art East or Elizabeth Hartman with the number of pieces and the fact that we are making a specific shape. But it's not too many pieces that it's unbearable. Okay, so this one is going, this seam is going down, so this one's going up, so that fits really nicely. I hear the family chat going off, and I'm kind of excited and jealous at the same time because my cousin is over visiting my sister today, and she brought her puppy to play with my sister's puppy. And I'm like, I've not played with any of the puppies yet. My sister shared a really cute picture of the dogs just sitting out on the back deck, just looking into the yard. Okay, last seam. The only intersection we have to join up is the one up top because the bottom ones don't line up. And it's not the last seam, it's the next to the last seam because there's one more piece that has to be added. Lizette says that she's watching on her TV, which is the way I usually watch any of my stuff on YouTube. It's very convenient. But she had to open up the app to comment on the joke. She thought it was hilarious. But she also discovered that she wasn't subscribed, even though she thought she was. Yeah, YouTube is funny with the way that it seems to unsubscribe people every now and then. I don't know what happens. Uh, it's strange. So, yeah, if you thought that you're subscribed, and I'm telling you with every content creator, make sure you still are subscribed because occasionally you become unsubscribed. There's a few content creators that I have been subscribed to that I've somehow become unsubscribed. So I was like, how did this happen? And they will occasionally also disappear from your feed. So, and if you're like me, you don't realize when something disappears for a while because your mind is just accustomed to the now. So it took a while, or it took somebody mentioning the other channel before I realized, oh, why haven't I seen them in a while? Oh, I got unsubscribed. So I'm telling you, all your content creators, every time you watch their video, try to make sure you're still subscribed. The last piece is just to put this big block on top. And I'm assuming this is just to end up making it square. And if it's not square, it's probably just to make it whatever size they want it to be wherever it's going into the quilt. That's the fun thing about the Fort Worth Fabric Studio Mystery Sew-Alongs is you don't know what you're going to be making. And the reason why I like buying their kits is because I know how it was designed for that kit. If I try to kit it up myself with my stash and stuff, I fear that I'm not going to give the quilt the same amount of justice. But I will also, and if I was going to do that, I would wait until the final reveal and shop my stash or shop the local quilt shop in order to build a quilt that'll look nice. Because if I like this spider web, this is perfect where it is. But if I didn't know that this was going to go here and I end up buying a different fabric, I don't know if it would go as well. Joydy says it's happening a lot lately with the unsubscribes. Yeah, I I have a feeling it has to do with their. Um, there was a video I watched about this. It's a giant mess. The way that they track views, they basically have a whole bunch of servers that are tracking stuff and storing it into their databases, and then their databases end up getting synced with nearby databases, which gets synced back up to master databases. And if something has something out of sync in one of those sub databases, I think that's what's happening. That's causing things to be out of whack and causes people to lose subscribers. It doesn't happen. Well, let me change that phrase. It doesn't happen to everybody at once, so you're not going to lose all of your subscriptions. But it also doesn't happen consistently. Um, a YouTube creator who has their number of subscribers available to them to the exact number, they can watch their subscribers go up and down in a day. And when you're a small channel like me, seeing go up one, go down one, go up one, go down one, that's that just feels normal. But I'm sure, like, if you're a larger channel, you see your subscribers going up and down by, hundreds a day. And that can feel a little bit more impactful. But if you have that many subscribers, you're probably not as feeling the impact because, yeah. But I do know that I had something weird happen over New Year's where I had an influx of subscribers somehow. And then when I woke up, my subscriber base basically reset to what it was the night before. So I watched the numbers go up and I was like, this is not right, but thank you. And then I woke up the next morning and basically that entire influx was gone. I'm like, okay, I'm sad that they're gone, but I have a feeling that it was just YouTube catching bots or something. I don't know. But the block is done. This looks like a really cool crow. I have to make 8 of these, and there's not enough time in my life to make 8 of them. So what I am planning on doing is popping over to Steven's pop-up soda that he is hosting right now as we speak. I am going to put the link in the chat to it, as long as Nightbot is listening to me. Question mark. Yes, it is. So if you want to join us over there, feel free to. It's a private Zoom. You do have to be on camera because that's Steven's rules. But it is not broadcast to YouTube. It is not recorded. It is just, a whole bunch of friends sewing together, and it's a lot of fun. So I hope you can join us over there, or if you can't, I hope you have a lot of fun popping over onto all of the content creators' videos this weekend. Some people even double dip, like they will be either in multiple creators chats at the same time, or they'll be in the pop-up soda and on a live at the same time. It's always a lot of fun just catching up with everybody. So enjoy the weather. Enjoy the weather as best you can with as humid it is. I hope anybody that is without power gets their power back very quickly, and I hope everybody has an awesome day. Bye.